Alrighty, howdy ho folks. Multiversal Medium here for another episode of Silent Hope. So, last time we left off, I got my butt handed to me in the new fire biome, and I said I was gonna get to level 25. I went to level 30. Just so we'd have easy pickings come the next, hopefully 2 biomes. We'll see. Beyond that, we also we're missing a final enemy in the 3rd biome for their little info thing, you know, good stuff. I found it. It was just a different variant of the mimic enemy. Anyways, may as well read the description real quick. Luxury Levant. Their box contained an object that didn't belong to them. But overwhelming greed drove them to keep it anyway. They owned the box, and therefore its contents. Maybe someone had put it in there by mistake. No matter, it was theirs now. So yeah, that was the last enemy we were missing. And yeah, we'll come across them in the next biome as well. They're just a good bit rarer. Let's see here. What quest? Yeah. Get everyone up to level 30.
Hey, you did it!
As you can kind of see, we're starting to reach a point quest-wise where it's like, oh, there's not a lot more.
Nothing feels better than clearing a mission you'd previously failed. It shows just how much you've improved.
Honestly, I think we're going to be getting more quests and stuff after we finish our first full run through the dungeons. Get through all 6 biomes. But yeah, let's head back into the Burning Wasteland. Oh, no, wait. I forgot about dishes.
Very carefully.
Let's see here.
Say, you are what you eat.
What do I usually go down with? Because honestly, like, the super basic dishes are solid. I usually just kept
What
choosing
food would you like
them.
to bring with you?
Strength, sure.
If it were me,
Magic resistance, sure.
pizza, of course.
I don't think I can make pizza, girl. Like, I would if I could. I like pizza too. Huh. Could have sworn I had one that was also.
Just very carefully. Like
Turn
they
resist?
always say, you are what you eat.
Max HP actually sounds good. Yeah, sure, why not? Yeah. Okay.
Take
Go
care.
for it. But yeah, like I said off screen, I got every character up to 30. I got them all, like, gear from the final dungeon that is, like, top level. Every piece. I outfitted them with gems. Basically, while editing and getting other series set up, I went all out. That way, we'd basically be able to do that, apparently. Yeah, those dudes were tough before, huh? Anyways, hopefully this way, yeah, maybe this way we'll just plow through this biome. Not for nothing. I think with how I have it set up, I have 2 out of the 3 skills we can have. All the way at 5. And, yeah, I think the main issue last episode was mainly the fact we, for some reason, just perfectly plowed through the earlier biome without any issue. And it was honestly just probably happenstance that happened. Look at those crits, man. Gosh dang. But yeah. As you can see, also, I did kind of switch up my skill set with her. Went with the stabby as opposed to the runny. Good stuff, good stuff. Good stuff overall. Honestly, every single time I grind these characters off screen, I feel like my tier list of like which ones are good and which ones are bad kind of shifts a little. With the exception of the farmer. I don't know why, but the farmer girl has always been number one. She is bae. She is love. She is life. Like, I would let her destroy my swamp, basically. That nonsense. What is the Shrek is love, Shrek is life dude doing nowadays? I'm genuinely curious. What he doing now? I also basically almost ran out completely of stuff to make in the various production places. Because after I reached 25, I just stopped caring about picking up resources. It's like, nah, man, we got to grind this out. Just got to grind this stuff out. This is 100%. We done. We Dungeon Rings. And yeah. Basically, Farmer Girl is just better at everything. It's really weird, actually. It's 100% actually weird. So, like I said, my tier list kind of shifts from, like, every single time I grind stuff out. Considering the final boss of the snow biome is, like, just a single boss fight without other ads or anything. The Pugilist actually, like, destroys the boss of the snow biome. It's actually really surprising. Like, she myrtleized it, and, like, so quickly the boss couldn't do most of its move pool. And that's exactly what I thought the Pugilist was going to be after realizing it's very single targety. The issue is that's the only enemy it's been able to do that to. So, yeah. That being said, ranged combat honestly sucks. I've mentioned it before. But hey, look. The, frickin' Farmer Girl is just better at ranged combat than the ranged combatants. Honestly, the, Archer gets kind of a weird pass, all things considered. Because the Archer is fast while being, like, bad range combat. But all the range combat needs is a slight, like, targeting system. I've talked about that multiple times. I have. But that's all range combat needs. But the amount of times I am trying to attack enemies directly in front of me, I'm facing them directly, and I just whiff it slightly to the right or the left, was appalling. Like, literally appalling. It's like, no way am I somehow ruining my entire combo because it just decided, like, nope, you're somehow not aiming at the person directly in front of you. And the mage's animations are so slow that me missing an attack would basically equate to me ruining a combo as the combo got higher up. It was infuriating to people on it, actually. That all being said, as you can tell, the farmer has better ranged combat. But wait, there's more. So, considering, like, her buffs and everything, she regularly, if I actually keep it up, can just keep up evasion and shield buffs, which make her better at evading stuff and not taking damage than the defensive wanderer and the invasive rogue. But wait, there's more. She can also heal herself. So she just 100% has some of the best utility. The only thing she lags behind a bit in is her damage, but she's constantly keeping this, like, snack time buff up that usually increases her damage. Like, yeah, the Pugilist just does a lot more damage. Arguably, every single class will do a bit more damage than her. But that's not an issue considering, like, everything else going on with her. She's just better than every other class, basically. She really is. And that's the weird bit. She is just better. Like, I haven't seen a game this weighted to one class in such a weirdly long time. And Yeah, I know this is a spin-off of Rune Factory, which is a spin-off of Story of Seasons. So, of course the farmer is the one they're going to actually care about. But like, oh my effing gosh, no way did they care this much about her. Like, just the amount of time she just blocks an attack and negates it. The amount of time she'll just evade an attack and negate it with this buff going up. It's all paired with the fact now that the freaking buff skill is maxed out. There's a solid chance of her also getting a healing buff on top of that. It's astounding. It's really astounding how weighted. Like, I'm trying to think of other games that were just weighted this much. In like, yeah, you need to play this one class, and that's the only way to do things. And I'm kind of like thinking like Fantasy Life almost, like not exactly. Fantasy Life had like 2 options and I just didn't like it. If you wanted to be able to do DLC end game like battles, one was the Mercenary, I want to say it was called, like the 2-handed stupidly large broadswordy mercenary. You know, the kind of weapon that basically equates to, hey, you may as well just be swinging around a stick because you're not using that sword as a sword. You know that, right? You know, those kind of freaking weapons. The ones that became stupidly popular after Final Fantasy VII for some reason because they make no sense. They really don't. They are so effing dumb. And then there was the Paladin, which is what I actually like playing. But the Paladin had 2 different move pools. One for if you had a shield, and one if you didn't. Which kind of makes sense, but it's also like, I'm playing a Paladin type dude. I kind of expect to use like a shield and be a bit more defensive. I don't know why that archetype's a thing, but it is what I expect. Just saying. That being said, like, you really, yeah, just completely block that stunning attack. There we go, yeah. It's paired with, like, her quick dodges and stuff. She gets in and out of combat really quickly if you want her to. All while, like, just doing good damage. Like, it's not the best damage, but it's good damage. All those crits were popping up, everything. She does good enough damage. She's got better range combat. It's freaking amazing. Anyways, like, if you wanted to do enough DPS for endgame, basically, in Fantasy Life, you had to be basically either a mercenary or a paladin with a certain playstyle. Which, if you've played the games, you realize how effing stupid that is. Like, it's fine if you actually like that playstyle, or like, oh, cool, whatever. But I've never been super a big fan of slow but hit hard playstyles. Honestly, if I had to choose between that or a death by 1,000 paper cuts, I'd choose the death by 1,000 paper cuts kind of playstyle. I really would. But Fantasy Life is a game, I guess it's a series technically. There are 2 and they're working on a 3rd game coming out soonish. Games that are all about like the job system actually. It's 100% all about the job system. That's the entire point of Fantasy Life. The job system is basically called lives, and you switch up between them and do various things related to the job system you just switched to. If you want to be a better mage, you should probably also pick up being a tailor and a carpenter. Why? That way you can make your own staffs, and as well as basically make your own robes and stuff. So you're basically outfitting yourself more and more to be a better mage. Cool. Well, if you want to be a carpenter, you kind of need to be a woodcutter. Otherwise, how are you going to get, like, wood to be a carpenter, dude? And yeah, it just kind of expands upon that. So every class kind of feeds into one another in various ways. There's, like, resource gathering, production, and, combat classes. And they all kind of feed into one another with the exception of, I think combat classes are kind of isolated in what they do. Nothing about the paladin's going to properly super feed into the mercenary kind of thing, if I'm remembering right, but it's been a while. But with that in mind, design this rhyme. You know the whole usual, doesn't even matter how hard you try. It's a game that specifically is all about that. Having the end game of it, just the final bit of it, demand you play in a certain way when it's supposed to be all about freedom if you want, as well as like, well, you don't need to like fully do any of these classes. You can just focus on one or the ones you do like, you know. Having the game just completely throw that aside for the final bit of the DLC was honestly annoying. It was appalling. It is the only proper knock I give against the game, besides the fact that it's kind of grindy because it's got a bunch of classes. And I'm the kind of fool that's like, oh, you got like 15 different like classes or whatever? Okay, I guess I'm gonna max them all out. Why wouldn't I? But like I was saying, it kind of like, they all feed into each other, so it does feel good to max them all out. It's a good gameplay loop. And a lot of people really loved Fantasy Life. I'm glad it's getting a proper sequel in the US. I said there was 3 games in it. The first game was a 3DS game. And it did release in the US, which is cool, awesome. Everyone loved it as far as I'm aware. As far as I'm aware, I don't know anyone who actually just liked it, who played the game. That being said, its sequel was a smartphone game. And not for nothing, but smartphone games from like a full game release is usually icky. When it's paired with like, oh yeah, there's definitely microtransactions. Oh hey, also never released in the US, so that kind of sucks. So you can't even try it if you wanted to, unless you get like a Japanese account. Let's see here. I cannot remember the buffs they do for the classes now, so let's just switch to her. Is it a smart move? I don't know. We'll at least probably be able to survive to the next freaking crystal, right? Probably. Anyways, like, it just never released in the US. It was a smartphone thing, and I don't even think it's still around even, actually. I think they stopped support for it, and it's not even on whatever, the Japanese Apple Store or whatever anymore. Which is... it is what it is. That happens a lot, actually. Let's see here. I'm gonna switch to now. Dodge cooldown's down. That's nice. Yeah, let's try to go through the whole board and get all the buffs so we can actually just face the final boss. Because I'm intending to do this entire dungeon, this run, basically. Monster rush in 40 seconds. I mean, that will either happen or not. Let's see here. Like, honestly, I have a special hatred for this class right here. I really do. It's effing annoying because, like, yeah, the synergy for his skills do work fine. That's not the issue. It's the slow animations for a majority of his skills, as well as the slow animation for his base attacks. Ultimately paired with, like, his dodge that takes time to charge up, and it's paired with, yeah, we were already over it like in an earlier episode. Dodging doesn't exactly give you iframes.
Your very best shot.
It's to move. That's just how dodging is. It's a movement based thing, not iframes. It's a quick movement to get out of the way, which makes sense on paper, but for an action RPG, that's not exactly what you want. It really isn't. The iframes from dodging is something that's almost common in every single game that has a dodge mechanic. I need to try, actually, legit try the dodge mechanic in freaking Harvestella or whatever by now. I'm starting to branch out class-wise in that game, and it's like I need to try it. Like, I know the combat sucks, I do. But it's... There we go. I basically, like... I finally talked to some people who are, like, swearing by Harvestella, and even they are like, yeah, the combat and the gameplay is pretty basic, but it's enough for the story, and I'm like, the story's my biggest gripe about the game. Like, yeah, the gameplay is honestly nothing. It isn't. It's never been anything. It's always been garbage. But, like, are you saying the, like, storyline in that game is good? That's the weird bit. But some people apparently are, and that's what's wigging me out, man. That's what's really wigging me out. But I'm finally branching into other classes because I realized I kind of reached a peak with the classes I was using. So we'll see how the dodge mechanic in that game goes. I don't know, like, actually probably not till the end of the start of April, actually. Yeah, it would be the start of April. I have finished recording all of Harvestella for March. I was amazed, appalled, astounded. Specifically because the dungeon boss I had just defeated in Harvestella actually had mechanics. And that says more than enough of why I was amazed, astounded, and appalled. I had never seen that in Harvestella ever. But we'll see if they properly handle dodges, because if a game like this can't, why would I assume Harvestella could? Honestly, that's it. That's the long and short of it. But as I was saying about the mage, with the fact that dodges are actually just a means of movement, yeah, the teleport dodge is a means of teleport movement, so you can move through things, but you still don't get iframes. So if you try to teleport through an attack, which is honestly what a majority of people who I know who use dodging in games try to do. Why? Because if we're good enough to do that, we basically have all played Dark Souls or some game like Dark Souls to some degree. Yeah, it's just something we've all done at this point. We've played through at Souls-like at some point, and that's what you do. You dodge through attacks. It's obscenely annoying to take a hit, especially when there's like that freaking mage, dude. That freaking mage is just, with how slow his skills and stuff are, like just animation wise, the amount of times he gets surrounded while just trying to get an animation off was effing appalling. So I'm surrounded suddenly, and it's like, okay, what do I do? Well, let me try to dodge through, and nope, I just took like 2 hits because I tried to dodge through. Because there was nowhere else I could go, basically. And then it was paired with like the ice dungeon has enemies that paralyze you. And I know this all happened off screen, basically, but leveling him up was infuriating. I don't know if he's like lowest tier on my list, But I think my leveling process, because I like leveling characters and like eating food, I apparently saved the best for last. I don't know why I do it that way. I just enjoy doing it that way. Honestly, I'm amazed I'm at the level where I can... Okay, I didn't know I was at this point, level-wise. That's... So basically, yeah, we're in a gate or whatever, which has stronger enemies from the biome we're in, and we're basically one-shotting them. Oh, that's another issue with... So, like, yeah, I do like the rogue, actually, gameplay-wise. But you probably just noticed something. And this will come up a lot when there's a lot of enemies for her to target with this skill. So the backstab skill. Basically, you teleport through an enemy, and once you're behind them, you stop the teleport, and you attack them from behind. Simple, right? If there's a large group of enemies... It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Like 100%. It just doesn't. What'll happen is you'll teleport through a bunch of enemies, and then you'll just attack away from the enemy you're teleporting through. You won't stop, basically. You won't stop to circle back and hit the enemies. And I'm certain on paper it's like, fine, it's whatever, who cares? But the entire point of the backstab skill is to kill an enemy in one hit, basically. Because that instantly recharges the cooldown. So you do want to do that. So yeah, it just completely breaks the skill into all of its need/importance. It's weirdly appalling how bad coding that is. I feel like I've done nothing but complain about this game since I picked it back up. I'm sorry, like I had like several hours of grinding off screen. And like, even as a dude who likes grinding, several hours of grinding off screen is enough to kind of rub you the wrong way for a game you do like. And I do like this game. Like, my fiance was listening to me grind and listen to how much I had grinded, and she's like, I don't think I'm ever going to be picking up that game again, actually. And it's like, I'm sorry, this is a very specific scenario, because arguably, I don't think you need to do this. It depends on how much you want out of... Yep, yeah, that was... Okay, so I teleported through that big turtle enemy. And you'd think I'd instantly, like... double back. Hey, let's backstab the dude you just teleported through. No, my attacks instead were targeting the turnip enemy in front of me. It worked out fine that time because the turnip enemy was close enough. If the turnip enemy wasn't close enough for me to hit, the entire skill would have just been whiffed right there. And that's what I'm talking about. It really should be simple coding wise for it to be like, hey, I teleported through an enemy, stab him. But for some reason it's just not coded that way. So it leads to stupid scenarios like that, where you need to really line up and size up and perfectly choose when you're using this skill that is your best bet at taking down a majority of enemies. And honestly is meant to combo taking out more and more enemies. I don't know, like I said, this is not how a majority of this game probably would go, because like I'm playing it while recording. And I think that adds a bit of a caveat to how the game's progressing and going. That's something I don't think is perfectly showcased for a lot of people when they're watching this sort of stuff. But, oh gosh, man, seriously? There we go. like anytime you're watching any sort of gameplay thing, if it's not a thing that's highly edited, or maybe even basically something with a massive script, basically, the individual playing it is usually doing so with the express intention of gosh, worst timing for that. There we go. With the express purpose of like showcasing various things in the game. And this honestly probably does show up even in essay format type videos. So when you're playing with the express purpose to show something or make a certain amount of progress, you play differently. Anytime you've re-picked up a game with the express purpose to get to a certain point is proof of such. We all kinda sorta do it. Let's say you have a favorite stage you want to get to or whatever. You running to that stage showcases a different playstyle than if it was your first time playing the game. Or playing it casually without that intention, basically. And that's A-okay, but that is what the... every single time. Anyways, that is the slight caveat slash difference that you would see when watching gameplay videos online. Is people basically playing in a manner that is honestly unnatural. So yeah, I grinded up to 30. I had no reason to do that if I was playing this casually. And I grinded up to 30 in an area that was honestly a bad type matchup for several of my characters. Simply because of those paralyzing enemies in the last biome. So yeah, I got more frustrated due to such. Why does the paladin girl give a crit bonus? Whatever. Whatever. It's not that big of a deal. But with that in mind, basically, I think that's what a lot of people will usually get upset for in the comments that I used to see back when I was watching this sort of stuff when it was more popular. I remember... Let's see here. Trying to remember the skills. There we go. There we go. But basically, like, I remember when like Let's Plays were the thing, what everyone was watching, all that fun stuff. People would genuinely get upset at the Let's Players at the time because they were playing in a certain way that just didn't make sense to the viewers. Like, how do you not know that? And it's like, it's because they're trying to do content, dude. Like, I don't fully, like, hand wave it, because to a degree it's understandable, but not to the degree that some channels do it. Like, let's say Game Grumps. They're still a fairly well-known Let's Play channel. I don't know how well they're doing. I haven't watched them in a long time. Not because I dislike Let's Plays or the like. Obviously, I'm doing a channel on Let's Plays and I'm planning on branching out from that. But mainly because I'm not a big fan of what Game Grumps commentary is anymore. I really ain't. With that being said, a lot of people used to always give the commentators on Game Grumps flack. Why? Because one of the commentators is known for skipping dialogue and then not knowing what to do. And like, to a degree, I kind of comprehend that. Especially when you're mainly trying to sell something that's about commentating and talking. You don't want to have to stop the flow of conversation just because of a cutscene. especially when the two commentators on the channel basically have ADHD and they cannot remember the flow of conversation. Like, there's a solid chance if they stop their conversation to properly do a cutscene, they're not getting back to the conversation, basically. So with that knowledge, it's kind of understandable just trying to skip ahead so they can keep talking and keep selling their product, basically, which is their commentary on such things and their comedy in doing such. The issue with that being is it leads to scenarios like I already said. They don't know what they're doing afterward. They don't know why they're in a place. They weren't paying attention. And that became an overarching issue. And people were getting frustrated. It's like, why don't you just pay attention? And it's like, because if they pay attention, it completely throws off everything they do on the channel. And that's it. That's the long and short of it. Depending on the channel, they can stop everything and properly pay attention to things. I do that on my channel. There is a solid chance I get back to the topic after cutscenes. Like, I think I've showcased, usually I will get back to the topic before the episode is over or in the next episode, but sometimes I don't. Sometimes I completely forget about it. But it's because of a constant stop in thought process. It is hard to carry on a conversation, thought process, or anything when you have to take 5 minutes to completely halt it and do something else. It's why I don't want to do turn-based stuff in the same format I did the Outbound Ghost on my channel. I do want to do turn-based stuff, just not the way the Outbound Ghost was set up. Anyways, guys, it's been an episode of, you know, usual rambling, whatever nonsense. Next episode, let's see, where are we at? Okay, yeah, let's just teleport back. Next episode, we'll be going deeper into this biome, and I don't know how close we'll get to finishing it, but as you can see, we're kind of plowing through it. And that was my intention. I hope with our levels up, we'll at least be able to get past this biome as well as possibly into the next one. But until then, it's been fun. Like, that's honestly the long and short of it. This game is fun. Me grinding and playing the game in which I do is simply because I'm recording. And I had to explain that to my fiance, long and short of it. But it's been fun. I'll talk to you all in another episode of Silent Hope. But until then, ciao.